What is going on, everybody? This is Jim. Got a really cool video for you guys today. I got to go to the Silver Ball Pinball Museum in Delray Beach, in Florida, South Florida. I had such an amazing time, and I know a lot of my videos are geared more toward home consoles or video game news, but this place was so cool, I just had to talk about it. Now, before I get into all the specifics about it, please subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. It does help me out quite a bit. Now, what is a retro arcade museum? Well, this place is basically, think pinball machines, but from a long time ago. You could see here that I've taken photos above every single pinball machine. They had a little infographic kind of printed out to tell you the year it was made, how many of those machines existed, what kind of the high score of the day is. There's lots of contests that go on here as well of, they'll do a tournament like this is the pinball game of the week. If you get the high score, we'll give you a free play of a day, or we'll give you a free month or a free hot dog or whatever. It was really cool, and just the second I walked in, instant nostalgia. Not so much from these individual pinball games. I gotta admit, there were only a few that I actually recognized, but just going to the arcade takes me back to when I was a kid. By me, the local arcade was called Starbucks. No relation to the coffee shop. I don't even think the coffee shop existed. This place was named after the dude in Battlestar Galactica. And I remember going there when I was a kid. My dad would take me sometimes on the weekend and just walking around and, the 80s music blaring. It's like I was like 7 or 8, so it'd be like late 80s. 80s music blaring, people walking around eating slices of pizza and popcorn and kind of that like bar food experience, right? Machines as far as you could see in every direction. More of an emphasis, obviously, on the arcade type, but they always did have a few pinball machines in the corner. And just going over there and seeing how long you could make your quarter last was just tons and tons of fun. So going here to this place and checking out kind of the classics was very, very different. The first thing I noticed right away, I think I actually appreciate classic pinball games more than the modern ones for a couple reasons. One, they're significantly simpler in terms of there's usually just 2 paddles at the bottom. There's not necessarily a lot of lights and colors and kind of distractions when you're playing. You're just focusing kind of on those bottom 2 paddles. You got your left and your right. Additionally, the amount of glare on the screen isn't really there because usually they don't have giant LCD screens or LED screens kind of like above you. So when you're trying to play, you're getting this really nasty reflection, and you can't see part of the kind of the top half of the pinball machine. You can't see it because there's just so much crap in the way. So the interesting thing is the older ones I think are actually more fun. Additionally, the older ones, when you hit the bumper, they really, really hit. Like you can feel the vibration in your chest. You've got your hands on the paddle, like it really thumps. And I feel like there was a lot more tactile feedback. Now, maybe from a maintenance perspective, that's definitely not something that you want. Maybe you want things that are a little less intrusive in terms of the vibrations and everything, but I actually appreciated that. I will say modern pinball games definitely have more layers to them. It's almost like you're kind of building up, almost in a sense. You're like building up the game, because there'll be different things you have to do to unlock different parts of the level, whether it be, getting it all the way around the perimeter or knocking 3 targets down. It'll lift up different things, which allows you to go to different parts of the pinball stage, which also allows you to have more, kind of like dynamic experience. And you don't get that in the classic games, but that's okay. And if pinball isn't your thing, and you're watching some of these other videos here, they have kind of the classics. They had some old arcade games from the 70s. They had this really cool baseball game that we played for quite a while from the 50s, or I think it was like the late 50s, where one player would either make you a fast or a slow pitch, and you had to slap a paddle to hit the ball and trying to get runs. That was really, really, really cool. My wife and I played that, I think, more than any other game here. And it just has that kind of like retro charm to it. They had other games too that didn't necessarily work as well, like this crane game where you're supposed to go around and fill up dirt. And how fast can you fill up dirt? But the problem is there wasn't enough dirt to, they didn't let, I don't know if it like leaked out or something, but the crane was down as low as it could go and you weren't able to pick anything up. So that was kind of a dud. That would have been a fun game to play. But I gotta say the old games were just so different than what kind of modern games are today. And I think that some of that charm has been lost over the years. When you look at some of the more modern pinball games with heavy licensing and lots of sound effects from the movie and little graphics from the movie and special effects, it kind of takes away from some of the charm of like the more basic examples. So to me, I think retro arcade is awesome. And I had an absolute blast. This obviously, catered again more towards the pinball stuff than it did to kind of the more traditional arcade games like X-Men and, Duck Hunt and like some of the old ones I remember playing arcade, or even like Street Fighter. But I had an absolute blast. If you are down in South Florida, do yourself a favor, go check out the Silver Ball Pinball Museum. You'll have an absolute blast. They do parties there. They do tons of stuff there. Go, relive your youth, and have an absolute blast. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.